This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell, joined in the studio today by the Toledo Symphony's principal second violin and artistic administrator Merwin Siu. We also have the TSO's intrepid music director Elaine Trudell here with us, and also in the studio a very special guest. Let me pull up a little fanfare for you. I have to say I love it when they dance. When we bring out the fanfare, a little chair dancing there from our special guest. That is Jennifer Cresswell, who is a wonderful soprano, also singing the soprano role in The Messiah with the Toledo Symphony upcoming. And I should say, Jennifer and I are related, but we're not going to go there. There she is denying it already. We're not going to go there during the course of this podcast. We are here to talk about Messiah and the wonderful production that is upcoming with the Toledo Symphony. Elaine Trudell is conducting it. Merwin Siu is playing in it. Jennifer Cresswell is singing in it. This is happening this weekend on Sunday, December 5th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's at Rosary Cathedral. There are some other concerts that are taking place during the month of December, and maybe we'll start with that, Merwin, because we've got Christmas at the Peristyle before that. You've got some runouts that you're doing this year. I mean, the big news is, of course, that we're able to gather once more and do something like Messiah in a sacred space with an audience.
I think it's both incredibly challenging and also incredibly rewarding, because it's amazing to be able to meet people where they are in their home congregations and to be able to kind of forge those connections kind of in their home spaces, so to speak. So we're going to be going to Bryan, Ohio. We're going to be going to Napoleon and Fostoria. And we haven't been able to make all of our run-out concerts work, but we have been able to kind of take those steps back towards normal and to be able to bring this joyous music of the season to all of these different communities throughout the region we serve.
So the Messiah is on Sunday afternoons at 3 o'clock. It's at Rosary Cathedral. But you're also doing, the day before that, on Saturday afternoon, you're doing Christmas at the Peristyle. Remind us what that concert is all about.
Well, it's a wonderful chance for people to kind of experience kind of a family-style Christmas concert, but in our home venue at the Peristyle, and Elaine Trudell will be conducting. We've had a lot of negotiations to bring some special guests. Some were easy negotiations from just a little bit north. Some were more difficult negotiations from very, very, very far north.
Let me guess.
Yeah. But I think we're going to, all these immigration things that you have to deal with the North Pole. It's very, very complicated.
Right.
But, we're looking forward to it.
You and Elaine being Canadians, you're familiar with, immigration from up north.
Diplomatic immunity, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly. As long as Burl Ives is not making a special appearance on the concert.
We know a guy.
Very, very nice. So now this is the first time that you, Elaine, and Jennifer have been like in the same room together, right?
True.
This is your chance, to talk about what you expect from her when you go on stage to do Messiah. What are you looking for in a soloist?
Jennifer, in measure 4.
Okay.
I love that you think I read music.
Fooled again.
Yeah. So, I mean, what kind of a soloist, what kind of singer does it take?
It takes, all our singers have to be very flexible, because it's like the orchestra, like you just mentioned that we're playing Christmas at the Peristyle the day before, which is like, all out and lots of fun stuff, and the Yuletide medley and things like that. And then the next day we have to get back into the Baroque zone and play something that is a bit more like sounding like pure and having that kind of sound. So for the singers, it's also difficult, because one day you're doing an opera somewhere, another day you're singing oratorio, another day it's a recital. So I'm just looking for, first of all, people of great talent. Yeah. I think we put together a quartet and a chorus that's amazing. And for the first time, we're going to have a countertenor. singing.
Yeah, that's
It was
interesting.
despised and all that. So it's if I can go into Messiah a little bit, our Messiah.
Let me pull up some music
Okay.
for you. A little background music. All right. Let's hear Elaine's Messiah background story here.
First of all, that's not the style you will be hearing on the concert.
Okay, well we can try this.
It's all good.
I'm so happy that you said that.
Oh.
And that's not the tempo either. So, but
Okay,
keep
well,
trying.
let's try something else. That's not Messiah, but
Well, let's say it would be a good entrance for somebody, right?
yeah.
Okay. But it's a good style. That's great. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
going to sound a little bit more like that, without the Queen Sheba. But the difficulty for us, because of course we're coming back in this COVID era of playing a Messiah, so we cannot go for 3 hours with the people there and go and have because for safety reasons. So I brought it down to an hour and a half with keeping the narrative. And also keeping a chorus though on stage, which we cannot have a big full chorus. We need to have a chamber chorus. So
Yeah.
we put together a chorus, and I really have to give a big shout out to Richard Schnipke. He's doing such an amazing job putting that chorus together, and it's just 20 singers. But it's not just 20 singers. It's going to be very strong, and they're actually in front of the orchestra, which is very different than what we do normally. Well, on front and a little bit on the side, so people can see the soloist and the orchestra. But these are all things we have to think about in this COVID environment.
Yeah.
So everybody will feel safe. That's the number one thing. So if you come to this concert, there's a few tickets left, but if you come to the concert, you will have a great moment of actually a moment that before you go out and buy all the gifts and prepare all the food and all that and get all sucked up into the mercantile aspect of Christmas, it's good to have a moment to remember that it's also about something else. So Santa will come and see us the day before, but it's good to I mean, it's basically one of the greatest story ever told.
Yeah.
And people can have their opinion on it. I mean, I'm not saying this is a
Well, if not an actual religious experience,
No.
it's certainly a spiritual experience for many people.
Well, I think it's important that before you get into the craziness of Christmas, that you have a moment to repose and a moment to reflect.
Yeah.
And this is a great moment for that. And I tried to keep a narrative, dramatic narrative throughout that hour and a half. It's not just, here are all the greatest hits of Messiah. It's not the greatest. Well, yes, because all the numbers almost are greatest hits, and Messiah. No, I mean this is an incredible piece, but it was important to keep a narrative. So it's not just. It doesn't finish with Alleluia, which is at the end of the second part,
Right.
because but you need to have the passion after that. So we continue into that. We go into the final Amen. So it's an hour and a half, but it's a full Messiah in an hour and a half. If I can express myself that way.
Well, let's also keep in mind that you're performing in Rosary Cathedral, and that acoustic is going to make a 20-member chorus sound like 100 people, in that space, because there's so much reverberation. You almost have to have some kind of a chamber forces in order to make the sound come alive.
Well, it's very often performed that way. I mean, it's with so few singers, you need to have like the utmost quality of each of the individual can be there. I mean, there's a lot of ways of doing Messiah. This is the way we're doing this year, and this is the way we have to do for health security also. But it's also a very musical way. I mean, it doesn't cheapen the artistic experience at all.
I think it's something very, very true to Handel as a composer and an impresario himself. He was incredibly resourceful and incredibly adaptable as a composer. And it's like, oh, I have French horns? Cool, let's throw some French horns in there. It's like, oh, what key can my particular soloist feel comfortable in? We will make that happen. And so I think that that's something that I certainly feel that, if you're thinking about a composer whose works kind of fit the spirit of a COVID environment, I think Handel would have been incredibly adaptable as a composer.
Absolutely.
And I think I feel like it's very kind of true to the spirit.
And so many composers and conductors have made their own arrangements of that music over the years, including Mozart, who added all the, wind instruments.
I've done that one on the Mozart, the famous Mozart 250th year.
Yeah.
The one we did Messiah that year, because, we all do Messiah every year. Well, actually, it's my first in Toledo. So that's, I'm very excited
This one
about
is
that.
your first one?
This is my first one with the Toledo
Wow.
Symphony.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, no.
Give you some applause for that. Well, Jennifer, it's your first time singing it here too, right?
It is my first time singing it here, although as a Toledo area native, my mother actually sang in the chorus for Messiah for as long as I can remember, and I can remember being about 5 years old and going to hear her be a part of that. But also, I'm especially excited to do it here because the first aria that the soprano sings, "Rejoice Greatly," is an aria that my voice type as an opera singer is not often called on to do Messiah. But that particular piece, I actually won my very first singing competition in when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
With the Adrian Symphony Orchestra. This would have been quite a while ago. But that was a piece that I wanted to sing when I was first getting interested in singing classical music. And it worked out really well. And so it's always had a really special place, like in my memory bank as an artist.
That's wonderful. Well, we look forward to hearing it this weekend at the Rosary Cathedral. Now, Jenny, when we were talking before we started the podcast today, you gave me a little biography of Handel. You said Handel was a German composer. What was the rest of that? Because I took that football and ran with it. So
Did you?
You go ahead and tell me first of all.
Well, anything to make your job easier. I just said that after the success of Messiah, no doubt, George Handel packed up and moved to Ohio and opened up a hand-dipped ice cream place.
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Well, that brings us to our quiz, right? So this is the first part of our quiz. It's a Handel and Handels quiz.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
actually very worried now.
So there are
Is it
4
okay?
parts.
I have to use the washroom. I'll be right back.
Well, look at the time, right? No, this is a 4-part quiz, and we can do 2 parts, and we'll come back. So you don't answer the questions, Jennifer. The way that we do this is that I have 4 questions for each part, and this is why you have like the little paper and pen there. You can write down your answer to each of them, and then toward the end we'll go back and we'll tally them up, and we'll see who did right and who did wrong. So you don't have to answer right away. You just write your answers down, okay? So this alternates between questions about George Friedrich Handel and questions about Handel's ice cream, right? Or just ice cream in particular.
I'm going to do really well on half of this quiz.
So anyway, which half are we talking about?
Well,
Yes.
the delicious half.
Excellent. Okay. Well, this is the other half right now. We're going to start with 4 questions about George Friedrich Handel. Let me bring up a little music for this. You'll recognize that as the music for the royal fireworks. Okay. Which of these constellations shares a nickname with Handel? Is it Ursa Major, or Taurus, or Orion? So Ursa Major, the Great Bear, Taurus the Bull, or Orion the Hunter. It's one of those 3. Second question. Handel's father wanted him to be a lawyer instead of a musician, but his mother encouraged his talent. What did she do? Did she let him sing in the children's choir at church? Did she sneak a clavichord into the house so he could secretly practice? Or did she secretly engage a private music teacher for the young George Friedrich? A, B, or C? Third question. During a dress rehearsal for one of his operas, the soprano refused to sing Handel's aria. What was Handel's response? Did he threaten to throw her out the window? Did he cancel the performance, or did he get a new soprano? Don't want to give Elaine any ideas here, but I don't think you guys will have any problem with that. So A, B, or C. Out the window, cancel the show, or get a new singer.
That better be a sizable window. That's what I'll say to that.
Nice. Okay. Last question in this part of the quiz. Which of the following statements is true about this music? Music for the Royal Fireworks, right? When it first came out. King George asked for a military band only. Percussion, brass, and winds. No fiddles, as he called them. The second statement is there was an open rehearsal which caused a traffic jam. 12,000 people showed up. Ended up closing London Bridge down for hours. Third statement is a gunner had his hand blown off during rehearsal while 4 others were injured or set on fire at the performance. One of them was blinded and the pavilion caught fire. Which of those statements? And of course it can be all of the above or none of the above. Okay. Now that wasn't so hard, was it? Did you guys answer every one of those questions? We'll come back a little bit later and we'll check and see how you did.
Okay.
But let's move on. I want to talk a little bit more about the singers and the difference between, because Elaine, you've conducted a lot of opera. You've worked with a lot of opera singers, and also a lot of big, concert stuff. You just did that Das Lied von der Erde here, which involves a mezzo and a tenor, and they're really big voices that these works call for. What is your approach when it comes to Messiah and casting Messiah? And talk a little bit about the idea behind using a countertenor for this performance.
Well, it's interesting about casting Messiah, as you were talking about opera. Messiah is what we call oratorio. And it's basically you tell the story, but you don't have the props and all them. But for me, Messiah is like I see Messiah as an opera. Personally, I've always thought it would be like the best opera because the story, of course, is so dramatic and it's so evolved, and everything that happens there, and also it's complete. It goes from announcing something, the announcement, to actual birth, to the life, to the passion. It's like, wow.
Cradle to the grave and beyond.
Well, yeah,
right?
I actually saw it as an opera once.
After all, it is the greatest story ever told, so it definitely makes a good opera, yeah.
Yeah. So when you want to talk about Harry Potter, right? No, okay, sorry.
No.
Okay, but for me, I need people who can actually want to also, because it's one thing to be able, but it's another thing to be into it, to tell the story. So that's why in this version that we're doing, some numbers I've kept, some numbers I haven't kept, but some of them are recits that I kept because we need to get the narrative, keep it going, and we need to have an idea. Of course, we sing in the Baroque style, but the idea is that it's an opera more than just singing different numbers. So there needs to be something logical. So everybody I got are people that, have been in opera and not just typical oratorio singer. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody can do what they want. But for me, that was important. One thing I'll tell you about my soloists a little bit, especially our bass baritone soloist. So, but you mentioned before that about the countertenor. Personally, culturally, I've almost always done it with a countertenor, singing the second part. Of course, it can be a mezzo, it can be an alto. I've done it a few times, very successfully. I mean, they're fantastic singers. But there's something about, like he was despised. Like it feels like there's something in the subconscious that you're talking about yourself instead of just having somebody else talking about it. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that can happen when you listen to it with a countertenor. Also, it's really as we say, in the pocket. It's really in the right register. If you have a countertenor that has some meaty low notes, because sometimes nowadays, especially, a lot of countertenors are borderline male sopranos. And I was looking for a countertenor that would actually add some meat in the lower range there to really sing those numbers.
Yeah. Well, you often hear it done with a contralto, a low female voice. So I can see the countertenor lining up with that
Yeah,
idea and bringing something new to it.
And also there's a certain purity in the voice of that on a higher male voice than a very low woman voice,
Right.
which is absolutely amazing. And Das Lied von der Erde, for example, we had with Susan Plath, just the range but I'm looking for a voice that is more lifting, more in the higher register of a man tessitura. Now we have a wonderful, speaking of men singers, Tyrese Bird is a wonderful singer who comes from us, they're all people that have a link to the region also, either from Toledo, of course, but also Ann Arbor and Detroit, and the rest of Ohio also, you'll see in the course that we have. So Tyrese comes from to us from Detroit, and a very, very good singer. Also, it's somebody that a lot of people will discover. All right, some of our singers, of course, people know Jennifer, but the other singers, people here will go like, oh, it's going to be that also I heard them first. Because, they're going to say, oh, well, because part of my job is to scout talent also, right? So, and I went like, oh, yeah. So people in Toledo will be able to say, you know what? I remember when I heard this person do the Messiah in Toledo, and now they're singing at the Met and everywhere. It's like, wow. And of course, our bass baritone, I want to spend a bit of time with his name is Thomas Adries. And the thing that's interesting, he's a Toledo boy, now works in Cincinnati. And what's really interesting is that his mother in 1956 sang the solo soprano part of Messiah in Toledo with the orchestra here.
Oh.
So there's a kind of
There's a connection there.
coming full circle for
Right.
him. I know it's a very emotional moment for him also.
But he still had to audition for the part, right?
He auditioned for me. Actually, the people I know, they usually you learn about them if you don't know them already or by reputation. They have to audition for you. I didn't know Thomas. It was about 4 years ago. He auditioned for me. It's interesting. Like singers, when they come to audition for a conductor, that's the thing I always say when if they sing very well. If they don't sing very well, I am polite. I say thank you and goodbye. but if they sing well, I always say, well, you might not get a call from me like this year or something, but it's really I keep it in the back of my mind. I say, oh, I'm finding the right casting for you. Is finding the right casting so that when the person finally you hire them and they come, it makes a big difference. It makes for your community, for their career, for everything. It's win-win-win.
So,
otherwise, it's not just getting a singer because they sing well.
Yeah. So would you say the first time you heard Jenny sing then?
And Jenny, it was different a little bit because Jenny, I've had it was a new opera. It has nothing to do with Handel. What's that new modern opera you were doing?
Interstate.
My God. And it was like, okay, this is virtuoso singing. I was like, okay, if you can sing that. And I didn't know you actually, sang Rejoice when you were younger. No, I didn't know the story behind that, which is fascinating and it's beautiful. But I went like, oh my God, this is okay. Because in Baroque, you need to have somebody with good technique that can jump from one note to another without smearing anything, So I said, okay, we're going to be just fine with that,
Yeah, that's
so
great.
that's what motivated me.
I will confess that I told my I co-wrote the libretto for Interstate as well, and I told my co-librettist and co-star Kathleen Kelly and also the composer Kamala Shankaram that I was hired to sing Messiah based on someone watching Interstate. And for those who don't know, Interstate is it's a two-person performance chamber opera based on, or inspired by, rather, the friendship between Eileen Wuornos, known as America's first female serial killer, and her childhood friend. So
just like Messiah, basically.
yes.
Yeah.
That will be all.
Okay. Actually, I do think one of the things it's actually really interesting about that is there is this sense of kind of in that responding to a keyboard. It's almost like there's almost a continuo feel to the to that entire opera. But I think one of the things that makes that such a calling card possibility is that it's the type of abandon in performance that you have to have incredible technique to sustain, because otherwise I think the piece could, and I don't know the piece nearly as well, but it feels like it could fly off the rails if there isn't just that ability to kind of keep it. And in a way, one of the things that is amazing about Baroque opera is that in some ways the track is quite narrow. But the speed of the car is so fast.
That's absolutely true. And singing Handel, there, for me at least, with my instrument, there's a sense of excitement that while staying in that lane at any given point, right? Like one absolutely. False move and it's all coming off the tracks. Yeah. So not that I plan on flying off the tracks, but it's going to be exciting.
It is. And but I do think that was what drew us to this, because it was like, because I haven't heard you sing that close to the rails before. And so, so it was fun to watch that, and it was what we kind of responded to.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Well, let's take a quick little break here, and let me pull up some music, and we'll do the second part of our quiz here, Handel and Handel's quiz. So this one is going to be about ice cream. Okay. What event caused the invention of sundaes? Was it an unexpected surplus of chocolate syrup? Was it the blue laws that prohibited the sale of ice cream sodas? Or was it the founding of the International Rare Fruit Council, who was looking to bank on the popularity of ice cream? A, B, or C? One of those three caused the invention of the ice cream sundae. Okay, speaking of, the biggest ice cream sundae in history weighed 24 tons. Where was it made? Was it in Edmonton, Alberta? Was it in Juneau, Alaska? Or was it in Reykjavik, Iceland? A, B, or C? What else besides ice cream did Ben & Jerry's sell at their first store? Soup, crepes, or pottery? Or all of the above or none of the above? That applies to everything, although I doubt you could make an ice cream sundae in all three of those cities. But
if it was big enough.
Yeah, if it was, well, it was 24 tons. Yeah. So. Final question here. Dolly Madison popularized ice cream in the White House. What was her favorite flavor? Was it oyster? Was it Parmesan? Or was it asparagus? One of those three was her favorite flavor of ice cream.
That's all one way to make sure that nobody steals your ice cream.
Good thinking.
Just in case you wondered whether we spend time preparing for these quizzes, that question tells you it's totally worthless to try.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we should run through and get through this first part, because I know, Jennifer, you have to leave. You have to leave probably before we get through all of this. So for our mini quiz for part one, okay, let's go back to the Handel part of the quiz. Which of these constellations shares a nickname with Handel? It was Ursa Major, the Great Bear. Handel was often called the Great Bear because he was great, big, and bear-like. Okay. Handel's father wanted him to be a lawyer instead of a musician. His mother encouraged his talent. Oh, by the way, did anybody get Great Bear?
I did not.
I did, but you couldn't see me raise my hand on the air.
Okay. Well, that's all right. That's what I'm here for, to say Jenny's raising her hand. Okay. Second question, Handel's father wanted him to be a lawyer. His mother encouraged his talent by doing what? She actually snuck a clavichord into the house so he could practice it secretly. Anybody get that? All three. Yeah. Okay. During a dress rehearsal for one of his operas, the soprano refused to sing her aria. What was Handel's response? He grabbed her by the waist and threatened to throw her out the window.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else get that? Of course, the conductor got it.
I had that one.
Elaine got it. Merwin got it. Okay.
I will say that there's a difference between threatening to throw a soprano out the window and actually throwing her. So I'd like to call disqualification on that question.
Okay.
Well, I want to point out that Rosary Cathedral has very expensive windows.
Yeah.
So just
that's right.
And they're very high up.
And we have very good soloists, so we're okay.
and we have extra thick windows here in the studio, so
we're all
chances are
I got to redo.
You got to put some weight behind that.
Not going to work well.
Okay.
Let's finish this out. Which of the following was true about the music for the royal fireworks? King George wanted a military band only, no fiddles. Open rehearsal caused a traffic jam that closed London Bridge for hours. A gunner had his hand blown off during rehearsal. 4 others were injured or set on fire at the performance. 1 was blinded. And the pavilion caught on fire and remained on fire till like 2 o'clock in the morning. All of the above. All of that happened. I'm sure, everybody got it, right? So far, you guys are like tied, a perfect tie. So that part was a perfect tie, a 3-way tie.
No, but she was the only one who got the first answer.
Yeah, but
I didn't get the window
third
answer.
Oh, you didn't get
On
the
account
window.
of the fact that you changed the question.
Yeah. Well, I've been known to do that. I'm the host. I can do that. Okay. Ice cream quiz. What event caused the invention of sundaes? It was the Blue Laws. They prohibited the sale of ice cream sodas, so they came up with taking away the soda so it would fit the actual letter of the law, and they called them sundaes because they could serve them on Sunday. They later had to change the spelling of sundaes to the spelling we know now because all the Methodists complained about it. So that's why Blue Laws. Okay. Biggest ice cream sundae in history. You have to know this one, guys. Merwin has to know, definitely.
I did not. I thought I would have totally known, but I didn't.
Really?
No, I thought it was Reykjavik.
No, it was Edmonton.
They could fit it in the West Edmonton Mall.
That's true.
Yeah. So did anybody, first of all, get the Blue Laws? Anybody get that question? Merwin got it. Anybody get Edmonton?
Nope.
Nope. Nobody. 0. A big 0 for Edmonton.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey.
We should mention you're from Edmonton, right?
How long have you been saving that line?
Yes. What else besides ice cream did Ben and Jerry's sell at their first store? Soup, crepes, or pottery? All 3. They sold all 3. Yeah. They wanted to be a bagel shop. That was the original idea, but the bagel making equipment was too expensive, so they went for ice cream instead. And the rest is history, as they say. Okay, Dolly Madison popularized ice cream in the White House. What was her favorite flavor?
I can't believe the quiz is coming down to this. I'm just saying. I think we need to put some suspense. Maybe we get the drum roll in and figure out whether it's oyster or Parmesan or whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, I keep forgetting to ask, did anybody get that previous question? Soup, crepes, and pottery?
Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer and Elaine. So,
we're all tied.
For the last one.
So this last one, it comes out to Dolly Madison.
Dolly Madison's favorite ice cream flavor. All 3 of these, by the way, were popular ice cream flavors at the time. They were found in popular cookbooks, but her favorite was oyster ice cream. Anybody choose oyster?
Oysterific.
And Merwin for the win.
Merwin won that quiz. Congratulations. Yeah. That's great.
And your prize is a pint of oyster ice cream.
Exactly. I wish I'd have thought that far ahead. It would have to be self-made. I don't think that I could.
We can ask Handels.
Can you imagine if like when we celebrate this nation's birthday or whatever, we all serve only those 3 flavors of ice cream?
Asparagus over here.
Definitely.
Asparagus, oyster.
Definitely not coming to your house for
so
July 4th.
Which one would you take?
Yeah, if you guys had to choose a favorite ice cream, which would
Parmesan.
I would take Parmesan,
all 3 of us, What about you?
I would go for Parmesan, I think. Oyster would be too salty of an ice cream, and asparagus just too, like, chewy, vegetable-y of an ice cream. I don't know.
Asparagus would have to be like a Ben & Jerry flavor of ice cream.
Yeah,
I guess.
The chunks in it.
Maybe asparagus made out of like chocolate or something.
Parmesan asparagus swirl. With a hollandaise core.
Oh, nice.
All in a great big sundae.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll work on that, definitely. So Messiah is happening this weekend. It's Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. at Rosary Cathedral. And the day before that, on Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m., it's Christmas at the Peristyle. You can find all of this stuff on the website of Toledo Symphony. That's toledosymphony.com. Or you can call up the box office and get your tickets that way, if there are any left at this point. That is 419-246-8000. And so Merwin won the quiz. I still have some more quiz questions, but I know, Jenny, you have to go. So
Oh, I have time for just a couple of quiz questions.
you have time for a couple of quiz questions?
Wow, that's the exact
okay.
opposite of most of our guests. It's like I'm actually staying for an additional quiz round. Is
Merwin, how often do you have a soprano?
You mean on the show? Yeah. Okay, let me pull up a little music. Now, this is not part of Messiah.
Are you sure?
This is obviously Scott Joplin. It's a little salute to the ice cream truck melodies, when they drive around.
How
Okay.
entertaining.
Yeah, so the quiz is ice cream again. 19% of Americans say they eat ice cream in bed. 3% say they eat it where? In the bathtub, in the car, or in front of the mirror? What state made the ice cream cone its official state dessert in 2008? Was it Vermont? Was it Missouri? Or was it California? What was the first flavor of ice cream as we know it today? Was it vanilla swirl? Was it orange blossom? Or was it chocolate? Which founding father loved ice cream so much that they incurred a $6,000 ice cream bill? That's in today's dollars. It was actually $200 back then. During the summer of 1790, when ice cream first became commercially available in Washington. Was it Ben Franklin? Was it Thomas Jefferson? Or was it George Washington? Actually, I don't know if it was in Washington. It was wherever those guys were. Okay? So there's that question. Now let's quickly do little Handel quiz, right? Handel's first professional music job was in Hamburg. What did he do? Did he play the violin at the Goose Market Theater? Did he play the organ at St. Michael's Lutheran Church? Or did he conduct the orchestra at Hamburg Opera? A, B, or C? Handel was almost killed in a sword duel with another composer. He was saved by what? A bassoonist? A button? Or a bear? Bassoonist, button, or bear? Handel's rival in London was Giovanni Bononcini, who inspired a poem by John Byrom that compared them to what literary duo? Was it Beatrice and Benedict? Was it Don Quixote and Sancho Panza? Or was it Tweedledum and Tweedledee? And the final one, who said the following about Handel? Go to him and learn how to achieve great effects by such simple means. Was it Joseph Haydn, Wolfgang Mozart, or Ludwig van Beethoven? All right, I'll give you a second to scribble, and we'll go back, and we'll check the answers. Okay. 3% of Americans say they eat ice cream in the bathtub.
Yay.
Anybody get that? All three got that. Okay.
We are the 3%.
Evidently so. What state made the ice cream cone its official state dessert? It was Missouri. Anybody get that? Anybody get Missouri?
No, I went with Vermont because I was thinking
Yeah.
of Ben and
Yeah,
Jerry.
me too. Oh, that was a diabolical
Yes.
chuckle.
It
Fooled
was
again.
indeed.
Yes.
What was the first flavor of ice cream as we know it today? Keyword as we know it today. Was it vanilla swirl, orange blossom, or chocolate? It was actually orange blossom.
Yay. Oh.
Yeah, did you all get that?
Yeah.
Wow, is this going to be a tie? Okay. Which founding father spent $6,000 on ice cream? It was George Washington. He had a huge sweet tooth. What was left of his teeth? He had
Was that
Sweet
C? Was that C or?
that was C.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I got it. I just forgot.
Is that why we say a sweet tooth?
I guess so. Yeah.
There's
He
only
had
one.
one. Okay, switching back to Handel. Handel's first professional music job was as a violinist. He played in the Goose Market Theater, but he played for the opera.
So I have no
The
memory.
Goose
Was that
Market
A?
Theater.
That was
that
A.
was A.
Oh, good.
Anybody get that?
Yes.
Merwin got it? Oh, boy.
I forgot I got it, but I didn't.
Okay, Handel was saved by a button.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Fellow composer tried to slice him with a sword and hit a button instead. Did you all get that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Handel's rival was Giovanni Bononcini. The famous poem compares them to Tweedledum and Tweedledee,
Oh.
Yes.
Whoops.
later picked up by Lewis Carroll and used in Through the Looking Glass.
Who knew?
Yeah.
She
Jennifer
got it.
knew.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So who got it? Just Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, who said the following about Handel? Go to him, learn how to achieve great effects by such simple means. That was Ludwig van Beethoven.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is hard to tell. I think it's a tie between... It's totally a tie between Jenny and Merwin, right? So we're at a tie. Go out on a high note, as they say.
That'll cost you extra.
She's looking at me, Elaine. Don't get nervous. Don't worry. Again, it is happening this weekend. December 4th is Christmas at the Peristyle at 3 o'clock p.m. at the Toledo Museum of Art, Peristyle. And Sunday afternoon at Rosary Cathedral, it is the return of Handel's Messiah, conducted by Elaine Trudell. Jennifer Cresswell, who joined us today, is the soprano. Tyrese Bird is a tenor. Chuan Yuan Liu, is that how you say it? They're the countertenor. And we have Thomas Dries, the baritone, along with a chorus that is also singing the wonderful music of George Frederick Handel that's happening at 3 o'clock p.m., as I mentioned, on Sunday afternoon. More information at ToledoSymphony.com or 419-246-8000. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple and Google Podcasts. Remember to check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website at ToledoSymphony.com and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find the TSO streaming platform online at stream.artstoledo.com. My thanks to Elaine Trudell, Marwin Siu, and Jennifer Cresswell. I'm Brad Cresswell, and this has been Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.